Hey guys, it's going to be a continuation video of an Ascension Handbook by Tony Stubbs. This is section 6, 3 Great Myths, Love, Truth, and Power. It's a really long section actually. There's a lot of I find a lot of good stuff even in the overview of Love, Truth, and Power. It really puts a lot out there on Front Street. Just, how people use love as a tool for power. But I do just want to cover one thing that is from section 5 that I highlighted it, and it just seems kind of critical that we remember this. The only barrier between ego and spirit is fear. So fear is our only barrier that keeps spirit and ego separate. So if we could tear down that barrier of fear, we can become more balanced between our ego self and our higher self. Balance is what Christ spoke of when he was talking about uniting the female aspects of yourself, the feminine and the masculine. It just seemed like something I should just throw back out there for everybody. You as ego and spirit jointly decide what events shall come up. So, when you sat down and made out your plan for when you were coming here, you designed your ego self as well as your personality traits here. I do advocate, however, becoming fully aware of the contents of your 3 lower fields as a prelude to coming to identify with spirit and to embodying spirit in your lower fields. So just need to not be carnal in our lower nature. We need to fill our lower fields with spirit, with love. The fruit of the Spirit is love, patience, kindness. I think that goes back to Corinthians when Paul described what love actually is. But let's go ahead and move on to section 6, 3 Great Myths, Love, Truth, and Power. One of the drawbacks of denying your spiritual part is that you don't get to benefit from its larger point of view. As a result, distortions about everyday things can creep in and have been doing so for millennia. Thus, you may misunderstand some key aspects of your life. Living in ignorance has been appropriate in the past because to have known more would have blown the game and invalidated a part of the experiment that you've set up on this planet. But now it's time to take the lid off, and I propose to address 3 great myths: love, truth, and power. The myth of love. The great myth of love is that you can love someone, something, or even yourself. No one can love another. You cannot love yourself or anyone else. Why? Because love is not a doing, but an allowing. Ooh, it's already getting interesting. This is the first paragraph. The very energy from which this universe is built is infused with a certain quality, a joy of being, an acceptance of the right of all things to be, and a delight in the expression of all things as they enjoy their right to be. All beings are of the source and have a divine right to experience and express their divinity. And all beings have a right to enjoy the expression of others, because all beings are really one, cleverly disguised to look separate. It goes back to those buckets floating in the buckets of water with holes in them floating in the larger ocean. Seeing themselves as separate but still a part of the whole. Yeah, everybody is just expressing their own divinity, and just the way that they choose it might not feel healthy to you and it might not be appropriate to you, but nonetheless, they're still just exercising their divinity. Um, it a joy of being in acceptance of the right of all things to be, and a delight in the expression of all things as they enjoy their right to be. It, yeah, yeah. That that just says it all right there. Letting them enjoy their right to be, and you enjoying your right to be. It's all just expression. I wonder how all this ties in with the good, the bad, and the ugly in the Bible. I'm still just trying to piece this all together, how spirituality just, because if we're all just a part of the source, then where did the fallen come from? Are they just playing a part in all of this and expressing their divinity, and yet are they going to be condemned in the end? I always read of condemnation for the fallen. It just makes you think, kind of blows my mind. I kind of don't know what to think yet. I gotta really do some searching, and hopefully my higher self will let me in on this. Allowing this joy and delight in the expression of yourself and others is a wonderful experience, and is what I call love. However, you cannot do joy or delight. You can only allow it to sweep through you. Like any other emotion, and this emotion is not conditional on what any other beings are actually doing. It's based on knowing and experiencing the divinity in them. If someone you know is in a foul mood, for example, they're still expressing their divinity. Even though that expression doesn't turn you on. So love is not something you do, it's a response in you to a particular frequency of energy flowing in, through, and around you constantly. Many things can deaden you to the relatively subtle energy of love. Fear, of course, will prevent you from sensing it, and will distort what little you do sense. Fear is not the opposite of love. It is the defensive gatekeeper, and simply will not allow you to sense the high frequencies in your fields. And the fear is locked in your belief system, or your opinions about reality, and has nothing to do with reality itself. Love is allowing yourself to sense this energy as it relates to you, to others, and to the universe in general. It begins with acceptance of your right to be, and the right of others to be. This acceptance builds to an appreciation of yourself and others, of your qualities, gifts, and basic goodness, and it continues to build to a delight and fascination in self and others. Yeah, I can totally see that. Sounds logical. Sounds legit. So how do you allow this to happen? You begin by dropping the fears you have of being separate from spirit, of being unable to cope with life, of being worse or better than other people. Once you see yourself and others as vast multidimensional beings, squeezed into tiny little bodies, these fears drop away. This isn't easy. You swim around in a thick soup of fear called the consensus reality all the time. But as we'll see later, this is just people's opinion about what's real and bears no resemblance to truth. Now, of course, you carefully built consensus reality over the millennia, and it has served the game of separation very well. Because of the deep-seated fears that most folks carry around with them in their fields, they can't tell love from fear. So what you call love is actually a manipulative exchange of attention and affection. People who won't or can't love themselves, they can't see or allow their own divinity. Ooh. Desperately search for someone else to make them feel secure. And when this security is threatened, they may fall back on emotional blackmail and control by withholding affection, all in the name of love. That's a cruel, cruel thing to do. Sometimes tough love is the answer. Believe me, I know. I was a drug addict for like 20 years. Tough love, sometimes it's needed. Like, you think that they hate you because they're taking away your drugs and shit, but they really love you, and you just don't see it yet. Sometimes tough love's a pain in the ass, but very necessary. And I'm sure I was an asshole in respects to it. You know, it took me a year to feel like a human being again. But yeah, moving on. Tough love. Many times when you hear one person say to another, "I love you," they really mean, "I am afraid and need you as my security blanket." Or one person in a relationship will have sex with a third person, and the other person will say something like, "How could you? I thought you loved me." I'm sorry, I couldn't help. I've already read this before, and I just laughed when I seen that. I was just like, "Oh man, so true." All right, "I thought you loved me. Come on, babe, the band's gonna make it. I love you." All right, what I ask you, has seeing the divinity in someone got to do with what I ask you, has seeing the divinity in someone got to do with exclusive rights to someone's body? God, he worded that just so crazy. What's really happening is that the angry partner feels insecure. If he or she could see the divinity in themselves and their partner, the probable response would be, "Was it good?" That's awesome, hilarious. But please see all this as perfect. Taking separation this far has required your utmost ingenuity, and it's been a stunning success. Love is relaxing into your true nature. You can't really get hurt by opening up to this energy. Sure, other folks operating from fear may give you a hard time, but try to see their behavior as fear-based responses, not aimed at you personally, but at what you represent to them. Thus, they are acting from their own fears, and their behavior has nothing to do with you. This point of view is an essential component of becoming transpersonal. Yeah, transpersonal. But that's a whole other subject. So please see yourself as infinitely loved from the higher dimensions, especially by your spirit self. Let go of the fear of being alone. You are not alone, nor ever could be. Come to accept yourself, appreciate yourself, and delight in who you are. Then you can begin to sense the love of spirit as it flows through you. And remember, love need not be directed at anyone in particular. It's just the source loving itself. God, that is eye-opening. Once you allow yourself to sense this energy flowing through you, you'll find that the flow will increase, and it will inevitably flow from your fields to everyone around you, changing how you deal with them, and they with you. One day, the dam will break, and you will find your fields flooded with unconditional acceptance for everyone and everything. Everything is made of God stuff, so what's not to love? Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait a minute. You might say, "I'm surrounded by mean-spirited people all day long. How can I love them?" Do not try to resist their personality quirks, or they'll just get worse. Just open your heart chakra and sense the energy of love in your fields. If you open your heart chakra, other people will have to work hard to keep theirs closed. Very true. And thank them for giving you an opportunity to put this simple energy trick to work. Hate, jealousy, and so on are simply signs of a fear-based personality which can't sense the energy of love within its fields. Give that person a jump start by channeling love at them. If their fear is too great, it may not work, but at least the outpouring from you keeps their fear from infecting your fields. Without being patronizing, have a little compassion for it, because feeling so cut off from the spirit is a scary place to be, remember? Never before in the history of this planet have the energies been more conducive to opening to this energy. Allow yourself to resonate with this new energy as it pours through your fields, and let it permeate all your relationships with everyone. Lovers, friends, the mechanic who fixes your car, and the checkout clerk at the supermarket. You are light workers coming online before the rest of the population, and you've volunteered to start the ball rolling. So when you feel this resonance, you feel secure enough to allow your friendships to go to new levels of intimacy. Fear of intimacy is simply the fear of loss of identity. But I assure you that in such openness, you will find more of yourself, not less. When two people both allow themselves to resonate to the energy of love, free of conditional bargaining and future expectations, they begin to operate spirit to spirit within this full expression of who they are. It becomes easy and natural to share themselves mentally, emotionally, and physically. Sex therefore becomes the joining of spirit in flesh, rather than being a commodity to be bartered for security or a good dinner. That's hilarious. Your physical body is a glorious expression of spirit, and sharing this expression with other people freely, openly, and joyfully is just one more aspect of your divinity. And what if you're in a relationship that begins to die? The old way was to work at it in the hope of reconciling your differences and coming to some compromise. But now, you know that your energetic signatures are no longer meshing. It's no one's fault, so make your peace and move on before you hurt each other. Hanging on to the grisly end serves no one, least of all spirit. You had a spirit-to-spirit agreement to be together for a certain length of time, and your signatures were in resonance. But once the agreement's over, the resonance falls out, and it's almost like you're strangers. Honor that and call it quits, and let go of the fear that there won't be another relationship, because that energy in your fields will drive off the next person through resonance. Instead, set up open anticipation in your fields and stand back. It may be difficult to see the perfection of the plan when your primary relationship has just ended. For example, it may bring up all kinds of stuff: abandonment, pain, shame, guilt, unworthiness, and so on. Where's the perfection in all that? Remember that you decided to participate in it for your own purposes. It may have been to break old patterns, like looking outside of yourself for approval, to bring new insights about the nature of love, or to move you into a transpersonal state. Whatever the reason, look for the big picture and ask how it serves you. You may have needed to be alone to go through some changes, or be free to begin a new relationship, or to move to another part of the country. It's all totally flippin' logical. I love this book. You are a light worker, here on a mission, and you've set up certain experiences to equip you to do your job better. This is not a random universe, and nothing happens without a larger purpose. So try to see the big picture. But above all, please don't think that anything was done to you. It's all right to feel a little victim energy for a while in order to clear it from your fields. But letting victim become part of your identity doesn't serve. That denies your mastery and gets in the way. And remember also that the cosmic joke is buried in there somewhere. If only you could remember the punchline. That is the end of section 6, the myth of love. Next will be the myth of truth, which isn't, it's a little lengthy. I'm going to make another video for this one, and I'll do power over and power with in one video. And even that one, even those are getting kind of lengthy. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure. This is some good stuff in here. I'm just going to go through the stuff that I highlighted in it when I read this the first time. Gosh, this thing was long. Love is not a doing, but an allowing. A joy of being, an acceptance of the right of all things to be, and a delight in the expression of all things as they enjoy their right to be. Allowing this joy and delight in the expression of yourself. This emotion is not conditional on what any other beings are actually doing. It's based on knowing and experiencing the divinity in them. Love is a response in you to a particular frequency of energy flowing in, through, and around you constantly. Fear is the defensive gatekeeper and simply will not allow you to sense the high frequencies in your fields. And the fear is locked in your belief system of your opinions about reality and has nothing to do with reality itself. And then back to love here. Love is allowing yourself to sense this energy as it relates to you, to others, and to the universe in general. And this is also pretty important. See yourself and others as vast multi-dimensional beings squeezed into tiny little bodies. These fears drop away. Wow. Love is relaxing into your true nature. That's a mouthful right there. That should make everybody think. You are not alone, nor ever could be. Come to accept yourself, appreciate yourself, and delight in who you are. Should always be happy with who you are. You are a magnificent being, fearfully and wonderfully made by the very two hands of Source. You are nothing short of amazing. All of you. Everyone and everything in this world. You are not alone, nor could you ever be. You have your higher self, you have Source, you have multiple higher selves. We're never alone. Never alone. Kind of makes you wonder about when you're taking a shower. Oh man. Couldn't resist. I just couldn't resist. In such openness, you will find more of yourself, not less. Yeah, I'm liking when they touched on relationships, man. You know, when your energies just aren't meshing anymore, it's time to call it quits. It does bring a lot of heartache and grief. to just keep trying to keep at it. And I'm like, when it's work, it's no longer needed. Like, love is just something that you just go through day to day. It just doesn't feel like anything that you have to work at it. If you have to work at it, then it's not love. That's work. Set up open anticipation in your fields and stand back. Look for the big picture and ask how it serves you. You are a light worker here on a mission, and you set up certain experiences to equip you to do your job better. So in those experiences, you gotta rise up above everything and look down at everything and just what's going on in my life and what is ending and what is beginning. Always find what's ending and lay it down, get it ended, and look at what's coming new. Look for ways to make that new thing even better. It's been a real pleasure. You guys have a great night. Bless you, and peace be with you.